This past August, my knitting mojo completely disappeared. I had no desire to work on any of my projects that I had on the go, and I did not want to cast on anymore. And as someone who regularly makes a knitting podcast and also sells hand-dyed yarns, it's a scary thing when your knitting mojo disappears, because that is my content. And without that, what do I have? But last month in September, it made a grand comeback and I finished so many projects and got so much done, as you may have seen in my last knitting podcast. So much done. Now it is back with a vengeance. I want to knit all the time, but unfortunately I'm in peak Advent prep mode because I'm doing a yarn Advent calendar. Therefore, I don't have much knitting time. Very frustrating. Hey everyone, it's Hannah and welcome to a new video. Not a studio vlog today, as you may have noticed. The reason for that is because everything that I am doing is Advent related. I'm either dyeing minis, I'm twisting minis, I'm packing minis, not yet, but I hopefully will be next week. So essentially, I have a lot of secrets around my house that you can't see. Sorry. So I'm trying a different video today in which I discussed how to rekindle your knitting and crochet mojo. I'm no expert by any means, but I did manage to find mine after it completely left me in August. If you are new to the channel, hello, it's really nice to meet you. My name is Hannah. I am a yarn dyer and own the business, The Corner of Craft. I also make little hand beaded stitch markers. All of my yarn is dyed inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, but I also make studio vlogs here, and I have a monthly knitting and crochet podcast in which I talk about the projects I'm knitting, the stuff that I want to knit, and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, hello. So if you are relatively new in the knitting and crochet world, or not even, you might just be completely unaware of what knitting mojo is. I interpret it as the desire you have to knit. Knitting mojo is like the drive that leads you to picking up your needles or your crochet hook. And I had none of that drive in August. Your knitting or crochet mojo can disappear for a variety of reasons. It could be because you're stressed. It could be because you have no time. It could even be seasonally. You don't want to knit or crochet in warmer weather. It could be that you're obsessed with another craft or another thing. You're like when I fall down my Sims rabbit hole, sometimes that happens. That happens. Like once every 6 months, I get really obsessed with The Sims for a few weeks, and it tends to be when I have a deadline coming up. So it's not the best timing. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what's going on in your life. I'm not going to tell you where your knitting mojo is gone. I'm not going to tell you specifically how to get it back. I'm just going to share with you the things that I did that got my needles clicking again. And maybe some of them will be helpful to you. Sometimes it's a very easy thing. Your brain needs a break. If you're stressed, you don't want to create. It's not top of your list of priorities. If you've got so many other things going on in your life, your brain doesn't have the capacity to be creative, and that is exactly what knitting and crocheting is, being creative. And whilst it might be sort of a soothing thing for you and it might be a relaxing thing for you, and you might not be designing the patterns yourself, if you are, that's a whole different ball game. It is still creating, it's still being creative, and it can still be tiring. So your brain just needs that break. Maybe try doing something else other than trying to force yourself to knit or crochet, because the more I force myself to do something, the less likely I'm going to want to do it. So I wanted to find another creative outlet for myself. For me, well, it wasn't even creative. For me, reading was really helpful this past summer, and also playing video games did help. Disney Dreamlight Valley came out, fantastic, wonderful, much recommend. But just something that took me out of my real life and put me in a fictional life just for a few hours, because no one wants that permanently. It really, really did help me out and did give my brain that break from whatever was going on. Something else that I found incredibly helpful was just getting out of the house. It sounds like a really stupid thing, and I realise that, you know, being outdoors isn't for everyone. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hiking up a mountain. No. But popping my headphones on and just going out for a couple of hours bopping to music as I walk along really did help clear my brain. It helped me feel much less stressed. And yeah, it brought back the creativity that I felt like I was lacking. So If ever I feel like life is getting a bit too much, I always need to stop and remember to take myself out for a walk, because it really does help immensely. I think this time around there were two things in particular that really helped me rekindle that love and drive to pick up my knitting needles and crochet hook. The first thing I did was I went through my stash. It's vast. I know it's vast. It's recently got a bit vaster. I went to Yarndale. If you watched the vlog, you'd already know. But I went through my stash and I planned some projects, and it really helped, because sometimes when you just buy yarn for the sake of buying yarn, and then you look at your stash, you think, what am I going to knit with all this? Taking the time to sit and plan out some projects with what you have in your stash is very helpful and makes you excited about using it and excited about knitting again. But if you find that you have skeins in there, or balls of wool, that you just don't think you're ever going to use, they're not your colour anymore, you bought them a few years ago and your tastes have changed, it's absolutely perfectly fine to set them aside and either de-stash them, which is to sell them on to someone else. You can do that on Instagram, a lot of people do, or just set them aside for a while and take a look at them in a month's time, 2 months time, 3 months time, and then see if you know you love it again, and if you don't, then you can de-stash it. That's perfectly fine. But going through my stash, that was originally overwhelming, and making projects for it, game changer. And I did this in a Patreon video. I went through my stash as well, but I might redo going through my stash, because I only went through the jumper half, which is here. I didn't go through this half, so I might make another video going through this half, because a lot of it just stayed there, but jumpers got sorted. And the other thing that I found incredibly helpful is that I went through my whips. I had a look at them, I saw how far along I was with them, I saw what I needed to do with them, I decided, do I want to finish them or do I want to frog it? And finishing a few whips off, for example, these I just needed to put heels on. Fantastic, easy, quick and easy. This I had to knit a whole sock. Did it in about 3 days. So it's little things like that that just, you know, finishing a few projects just made me think, oh, okay, sweet, that wasn't too bad. That was fine. I knit those heels and I was like, oh, I finished something. How delightful. Because I find if I have a project on the needles for too long, my desire to knit completely disappears. Not even to knit that project. Desire to knit full stop disappears. I don't get that at all. Sometimes you can be intimidated by how many whips you have, and just taking that time to go through them all and decide if you're going to finish them or frog them, it just clears your brain just that little bit. The final thing that I'm going to suggest that has helped me in the past is finding a knit along or a new pattern to get you excited to knit or crochet again. There are so many knitting podcasters out there, and crochet podcasters and the like, and a lot of them host knit alongs, crochet alongs, make alongs, where you all work on either a pattern with a theme or the same pattern or a particular type of yarn or a particular colour or anything like that, and just having that community aspect back to your knitting and crocheting. Because knitting, crochet, crafting in general can be quite a lonely thing to be doing. It's you working on it by yourself, and bringing the community back by doing a knit along, crochet along, make along, or what have you, can be really helpful. So keep an eye out for any knitting and crochet podcasters to see if they have any knit alongs going along. I don't know if that made sense. For example, I've just cast on the Stephen West mystery knit along, the West Knits MCal, and I am loving seeing everyone working on theirs, and it's making me excited to work on mine, but once again, time restrictions, because all I'm doing is twisting yarn, dyeing yarn, and just mini skeins. But seeing everyone's, the colours they've chosen, how quick some people can knit, it's madness. I can't believe how quick some people can knit. I have a hair in my mouth. But having that community sense back to knitting can be very inspiring, and can make knitting and crocheting very exciting again. So much recommend. It's also important just to know that it's okay if your knitting mojo disappears. It's absolutely fine. It's perfectly fine. It will come back. Just be kind to yourself. If you have any tips on anything that you have done that has helped you reinvigorate your creativity and your urge to create and craft and all of that fun stuff, please leave them in the comments down below. You know that I'd love to hear it. One of the ways that I like to have a bit of community in my crafting is through YouTube comments, so let me know what you've been getting up to, what you've been doing and the like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video somewhat helpful. Sorry it's a bit different to my usual ones. It's much shorter for starters, but like I said, life is a bit hectic right now. I'm about to go and twist. 192 minis, hopefully, fingers crossed. Takes a while. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this helpful. Like I've already said, if you'd like to follow me on social media, that would be wonderful. Links can all be found in the description box below, along with anything else that I think you might need. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any not video ideas, but any videos or any topics that you'd like me to cover in a video and all of that fun stuff. Let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see me crop up in your subscription feed, feel free to subscribe. I post a new video here every Friday, and if you want to see more of me, I do have a Patreon, also linked in the description box below, in which you get an extra video every single week. So if that sounds like something that you would like, I'd love if you were to check that out, but no pressure whatsoever. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope that your knitting mojo either comes back soon or is there with a vengeance, and you can just refer to this video in the future should you need it. Please share this video with anyone who has lost their knitting and crochet mojo, and I will see you very soon in my next video.